Yeah, technical difficulties can't stop this old coot. Ain't no way the internet's gonna whoop me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladles and Germans, latelys and germains, all of my frantic fans, loyal listeners, and absolutely vroomin' viewers who are out there hearing my voice and seeing my usual astounding low-budget graphics. Oh, now I can hear the... Gotta turn the speaker off. You guys are seeing and hearing all this live, if you're indeed tuned in on a Wednesday. I'm going to put this thing down, man. I'm tired of waving that thing in front of the camera. You probably guessed already that it is Wednesday, 7 p.m., and you're listening to and seeing and hearing Tent Talks Tunes, baby, brought to you via the wonders of the aforementioned internet, which, as we know, works in concert with software and hardware, which is very finicky and works whenever it feels like it. And sometimes you got to take that internet bull by the horns and give it a good shaking and make it work. And that's just what I was doing, kids. It's really weird. The program that I use wouldn't let me log on today until I updated the firmware and updated my connection speed and all that. And I did it. And having done that, I see that the color scheme is completely different than it has been in the past. I look very, very yellow-green today, kind of jaundiced almost. It's weird. I can't figure this stuff out. Hello, Bonnie out there in Iowa. Bonnie Forney is in the house. Iowa is representing. And I am, of course, here in the greater Danbury area. Let me see if I can get my angle a little bit better here. I'll tell you guys, I make an honest effort every week to show up on time. I like to be punctual, but those extenuating circumstances just won't allow it sometimes. But whatever, we're here. We're ready to talk tunes, kids. And as you saw, got me addressed right here. P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. And you can probably guess that means we're going to check the mailbox first. We always like to open by checking the mailbox on the bulletin board. So here is the mailbox. This is the one single piece of interesting mail that has arrived in this past week. It's from my good pal Stan Bowman in Missouri. He's got a distro entitled Reality Impaired Distro. And he specializes in really weird, cool stuff, kind of like I do. And he likes to send hard copies of things in the mail. So let's open it up and see what we got from my main dog, Stan Bowman. Let's see here. Ooh, okay. Well, I just dropped most of the contents of the envelope, but I see Stan is a very attentive man. Stan knows that I love the fine and not yet lost art of the print fanzine. Being a hardcore and punk rock kid starting in the early 80s, this is what I grew up on, was reading 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 5.5 photocopied black and white homemade zines with whatever the publisher wanted to put in it, whether it be band interviews or art or record reviews or ranting and raving or just whatever. It's all part of that awesome underground punk rock and hardcore culture, which is where I really found my way artistically in this world. And this is a Ear of Corn, yes, from Food Fortunata, my good friend who is in Sockeye, and any number of completely ridiculous, absurd, related side projects, including Ear of Corn magazine, which has been running for a very long time. So cool to see that the latest issue of Ear of Corn is here. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Food Fortunata. And a big salute to Poopy Necropond, who's in Ohio. Mazel tov, guys. Thanks for making this. I will definitely read it. Now, the law of gravity, as always, won in my struggle to keep everything together here and defy the other law, the law of entropy, which always wins. So the letter, handwritten letter fell out, says, hey, welcome, yep, Food Fortunata, Ear of Corn, yep, oh. And Stan also has high words of praise for a certain TPOS product, which he just mail-ordered, which is a fantastic segue for me to hype it to you, the educated consumer. Stan Bowman has got high words of praise for the brand new, fresh out of the box Profanatica Live 1991 LP. Yes, it had appeared on store shelves and in mail order distros worldwide as a cassette and a CD before, but now it is on LP, it is on vinyl. It is on my fabulous label, TPOS, baby. I recorded these shows in 1991. It was issued on other labels in the past on CD. I did a cassette version of it. And now I've got black, the blackest color there is. Black vinyl for black metal. American black metal pioneers on 12-inch LP. We made 500 of these. And the word is getting out that Profanatica is on the loose. So by all means, everybody, feel free to take a hop, skip, and a jump over to my Discogs and or eBay stores, where you will find Profanatica. And also a semi-new release. I might as well just keep on shilling as long as I'm here, right? Semi-new release, Aleister Crowley, Poems and Invocations, genuine, honest-to-gosh wax cylinder recordings made in 1919, plus exciting ambient remixes using Crowley's voice, created by me, Malcolm Tent. Very cool stuff. Get it directly from me or on my eBay or Discog stores. And I got one more product to hype here. Get the hyperbole rolling, get the hypodermic out, get the hyperactive advertising mode. Whew. My living room, my kitchen, my storage room, my basement. If you guys have seen my latest posts featuring the photos of my current existence, big drink of Danbury Tap to my current existence. In which my humble little cottage in the woods, my 808 square feet of paradise, is sagging. The floor beams are going like this because I am overloaded with fresh vinyl from the pressing plant. And someone might say, well, you know what? You made your bed, now you gotta lie in it. The irony is, I was trying real hard to avoid this situation. Backstory, if you folks might remember from a year ago or 2 years ago, somewhere in that vicinity, the pressing plants worldwide were completely backlogged. They were glutted with orders. And so if you or a guy like me who's got a label like TPOS, you would rely on a pressing plant, an outside, pressing plant, an outside manufacturer to get the product made. And so you would send in the order, and your order would take its place in the queue. And as the orders are made, your order rises in the queue until they finally get to yours. They press yours and send it out. Now, pressing albums is a time-consuming process. It takes approximately a minute and a half to press every single one of these vinyl LPs. They don't just stamp them out. They don't just stamp them out and, shoot them out the door. The press moves very slowly. It extrudes the vinyl between two aluminum plates. The vinyl is smushed out slowly. The grooves are impressed into the hot molten vinyl. And then this little thing comes around and trims the excess vinyl from it. The vinyl cools to where you can take the stampers off without ruining the vinyl. And then the press slowly opens up and the finished product is carefully ejected onto a spindle where they stack up. It takes a while for every single record to be made. So when you've got, let's see, let me ask you guys. Let me ask all you people out there like Alan Versipelis. Let me ask Bonnie. Let me ask Per in Sweden. Let me ask Clinton, Ray. Should I try to be polite? Or should I just tell it like it is? I'd like to see what you, the people, want from me, the dude. Do you want me to rein it in a little bit? Or should I just cut loose and tell it like it is? Would you like to have a cascade, a deluge of vitriol? Or would you like to keep it on a somewhat high tone? Whoever votes for what is going to determine the text and the delivery of my next statement. I see the results are coming in. I'm going to take a little drink here. Because if the vote is to go ahead and rave and rant and rage and have a tirade, I'm going to need to have my larynx nice and moistened up and hydrated. And, you know, the pollen is still in the air. It's still full-blown springtime out here, out in my little cabin in the woods. It's really beautiful. The colors predominant are purple, white, and yellow from all the flowers. And all that purple, white, and yellow pollen is like, right here. So I'll be periodically loosening it up with this great Danbury tap. Let's see here. Grant Den doesn't care. Pear says tune it in. Bob says higher tone. Ray says tell it like it is. Let's scroll up a little bit. It's a close vote. But I think that the votes for me telling it like it is, like it is, all right. The tell it like it is contingent carries the day. So I'm going to tell it like it is. The pressing plants for almost 2 years were backed up because the greedy, scum-sucking, consumed by avarice major labels who have no taste in anything musical or cultural or artistic and only want to make as much money as they possibly can in the quickest fashion humanly possible, clogged up the pressing plants with fucking bullshit like Adele, the most worthless fucking garbage you can possibly imagine, clogging up the pressing plants that a guy like me has to use in order to make a living. So they can take their worthless shit, their 275th generation editions of your goddamn Led Zeppelin records for fucking Walmart. They would get priority where guys like me would get bumped down to the bottom. And guys like me are the ones who kept the pressing plants in business in the 1990s, while those aforementioned scum-eating, scum-cooking, scum-propagating major labels, while they had tried to eliminate vinyl as a format, period, and tried to make CDs the overpriced, predominant format in the marketplace. But the minute they came scurrying back, smelling money, and wanted to get back on the vinyl bandwagon that people like me kept going in spite of their efforts, all of a sudden we are pushed aside and they get priority when their shitty Adele records have to be pressed. That's why I had to wait for somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 years or so to get this product delivered. And that's why I'm in the dilemma that I'm in now, because in order to get anything resembling a regular release schedule, I had to farm different orders out to different pressing plants. Typically, I would only use one, and that would be enough. But because of the gluts and the backlogs, I had to send them out to 4 different pressing plants, thinking that each one would have its own different delivery time, and that the stuff would be delivered in a nice orderly fashion, so I could, get the vinyl, get the covers delivered from a separate manufacturer, assemble them, get them out, and move on to the next one. Right? Kind of makes sense, yeah? So I had 7 titles out. 7 titles in the manufacturing queue while all this is going on, as I try to circumvent those goddamn worthless major labels and the utter bullshit that they foist upon Walmart shoppers. Wouldn't you know it, like what I said earlier about entropy and the various laws of chaos and gravity, all 7 records basically started to come in at the exact same time. Oh boy, yes. Through whatever magic there is, all the orders that I had placed at different times over the course of 2 years all came in at once, basically. So the old credit card's taken a mighty beating, and my humble little cabin is really, really doing a great imitation of a full-blown, well-stocked warehouse right now. And I got boxes everywhere of Aleister Crowley albums, of Profanotica albums. And what's the most recent one that I'm in the middle of assembling right now? The repress of G.G. Allen, Carnival of Excess. Yes, indeed. That's here in the house now. This is brand new and very exciting. The first pressing is, for all intents and purposes, sold out. I have just a few left, but the repress, it's right here, kids. Right here, right now. Look at that. Lovely new color scheme. The first press was on different colors of vinyl. I figured I wouldn't play that card too heavily, so the second pressing is on genuine black vinyl. Just as black as old G.G. Allen's soul. And they're here. They're available on my Discogs and my eBay stores. So if you want to help alleviate my storage situation and to put a few more dollars in the coffer so good old Harry can have some kitty crunchies, please hit them up. Hit me up, because I am ready to deal. So did you guys like that? Was that a good tirade? Did I vent my spleen enough for you guys? Was my language foul enough? Did I show enough absolute contempt for my sworn enemies, the major labels, and all the third-rate garbage that they put out? How did I do? Did I do okay? I see some thumbs ups on my monitor screen. Some people seem to think I did pretty good. Murray Gelman, I think you might have tuned in a little too late. You just missed a real ruckus over here on 10 Talks Tunes. I was all fired up. Oh, yeah, look at that. Lots of thumbs ups and hearts. All right, I guess I did the right thing. And remember, I only did what you guys wanted me to do. You wanted the rant and the rave and the rage and the rail. And that's what I gave you. Let's see, Michael Muldoon's in said I could have spit at the camera. Could have, but we all know that modern digital technology is very finicky. It's very frail. If I had actually spewed some sputum at this thing, I probably would have short-circuited it and burned it out, and then we would have no 10 Talks Tunes for a while. So, there you go. I showed just that little bit of restraint. Scott LaRock says I was snotty as fuck. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. I felt snotty. Definitely felt snotty. So, yeah, my goodness. We're still... we're like 15, 20 minutes into this thing, and we haven't even checked the bulletin board yet. Man, you guys bring out the piss and vinegar in me. I never use this kind of foul language. Not that often, anyway. But when I start talking about the major labels, and that'll do it. That'll set the spark to the fuse. No problem. Anyway, so yeah, let's look at the bulletin board, shall we? We got some cool stuff going on here. A lot of cool stuff going on here at Tent Talks Tunes /TPOS /Trash American Style headquarters. Lots of good things going on. From my right, moving to my left. What have we got? Well, I tried to do this in proper chronological order last week, and I utterly failed. So I'm just simply going to go in the order that I land my hand on with the flyers. Look at that right there. Anti-Scene 40th anniversary show. Ground Zero, Spartanburg, South Carolina. I've been proudly playing bass for Anti-Scene now for a little over 4 years. It is a dream gig. I am pleased as peach pie to be strumming the Thunder Lumba for the almighty Anti-Scene. And I can proudly say that we are playing our 40th anniversary show. And the word from the promoter is that tickets are selling very briskly. Ticket sales have been quite robust for this, and I never try to predict the future. I don't want to jinx anything. Remember what I said about entropy and gravity. They always win. But the signs are cautiously pointing to a sellout show. So if you want to see this Destructo spectacle featuring many, many, many guest stars, several past lineups of Anti-Scene in full effect, and a hot opening card, get your tickets now. Because really, if you like Anti-Scene, if you like real good old-fashioned redneck Ramones-style deep-fried southern punk rock, you don't want to miss it. And it's the 40th anniversary, literally once-in-a-lifetime event. So if you go to the Anti-Scene Facebook page or antiscene.com, or I'm sure the Ground Zero in Spartanburg has got some links, go check it out. We've got hotel deals because people are traveling from long distances to come see this. Accommodations, whatever you want. September 30th. Boom, boom, and boom. Now, the weekend before that, September 22nd and 23rd, my birthday weekend, at the Beachland Ballroom in Cleveland, Ohio, Devotional 2023, the long-running Devo Fan Fest. I will be there. We have our first special guest announced, DJ Lance Rock from Yo Gabba Gabba. How cool is that? With plenty more special guests to be announced. Tickets are on sale for that, and tickets for that have also been reported as being quite healthy. So if you're like me, who's a major Devo geek and freak, and you want to hang out with a whole room full of kindred spirits who are thoroughly in touch with their devolved inner selves, get your ticks. Because once again, the signs are pointing towards a room chock full, if not completely sold out. Think about it. Think about it. June 22nd at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia. Anti-Scene, opening up for Fear. If you need any introduction to Fear, well, you're not paying attention too much to Tent Talks Tunes and other punk rock icons. Anti-Scene and Fear, June 22nd at the Masquerade in Atlanta. And the way it's looking now, that's the only show we're playing between now and the 40th. Also looking forward to the future, because the future is where all of our destinies lie. Saturday, October, is that 21st? I should have this memorized by now. Saturday, October 21st, the Danbury Record and CD Expo is back in action. A big old room full of record dealers, record sellers, record swappers, including myself. I should have 2 or 3 tables chock full of awesome vinyl, cassettes, and CDs. The last one was a good lot of fun. We expect the next one to be too. So if you're a vinyl geek, you're a vinyl nerd, you're a vinyl needer, you need some vinyl, or CDs or VHSs or DVDs or Blu-rays, it's music related, whatever, on a physical format. Danbury Record and CD Expo, October 21st. And the last event we've got on the bulletin board is the upcoming Profanautica tour. I talked about Profanautica a second ago. And guess what? In my downtime between Anti-Scene duties, I will be touring as the bass player with Profanautica. American original black metal. Been going on for over 30 years now. I will say it again, to the best of my knowledge, Profanautica were the first. And in my opinion, of course, the best. What can I tell you? I helped to co-write their 2 most recent releases, a 7-inch single. Hey, I got the 7-inch over here. A 6-song, 7-inch single, which came out on the Hell's Headbangers label. And I do believe it's sold out. I think that this record has already been sold out, the entire pressing, which is pretty cool. I co-wrote it and played bass on it. And Profanatica's got a brand new full-length studio album on the Season of Mist label from Europe, which I helped co-write. I don't play on it, but I co-wrote most of the album. And yeah, tour coming right up, starting on July 14th in Cleveland, Ohio, and ending August 6th in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you want to see me in full black metal mode, pounding the hell out of that A-tuned thunder lumber, come see Profanautica. You have 19 chances to do so all across the US of A. Woo! I've been ranting and raving. The old larynx is kind of rough and ready. Let's see who's making comments. Jenny DeSoto says she just got home from grocery shopping, so she missed most of the show. Don't worry, Jenny. I had a late start today due to technical problems. I have only just wrapped up the bulletin board and the calendar. We haven't even really specifically talked tunes yet. So, good timing. And I myself am going to hit the grocery store tomorrow. Love the grocery store. Love grocery shopping. Can't wait to browse the aisles full of delicious vegan goods for me, Malcolm Tent, your host on Tent Talks Tunes. Excuse me. The last bit of kind of related information to the bulletin board is, I might have mentioned to you guys before, in fact I know I have, that I'm no longer a disc jockey on WNHU West Haven. I'm not going to go into the reasons. I did kind of talk about it before, but I'm not doing the radio anymore. And as a result of that, and it took me a while to figure out exactly what the deal was, because doing radio and having to fill 2 hours of airtime every week with new music meant acquiring lots of records, lots of tapes, lots of CDs, which was always kind of easy because being a basically full-time touring and playing musician, I play with lots and lots of really great bands. And so there's always new stuff coming in from those bands. And a lot of these bands would never, maybe not play outside their hometown ever, or they might break up soon afterwards after playing a show with me. So it was always really cool to get the product from these people that I could then play on my radio show. And I would construct sets of, bands from Ohio or bands from California, or, I would do sets of 70s rock or sets of 80s hardcore or whatever. It was kind of like playing a gig. Being on the radio meant getting into a certain frame of mind and getting kind of really wound up and charged up and ready to rock out for a couple of hours. But instead of playing an instrument, playing the records and playing the music and sending them out to the listeners. It's a very real high energy situation, a lot of interaction between me as the DJ and you as the listener. And it involves playing a lot of music that I would normally not sit around and listen to at home because it's a different frame of mind. It's kind of the same reason, the same idea that I don't sit around playing my guitar all day at home. Conversely, I don't sit around listening to 80s hardcore when I'm at home, just chilling in a rare casual moment. I don't play heavy metal or, nothing but really weird stuff. I only play stuff that I feel like listening to at a given moment. It's usually, got to admit, it's stuff I already know. Like I'll always reach for a Devo record, but I won't necessarily reach for a Menace record. This is a great record. I've given it a lot of airplay, but I'm not going to listen to it at home. Let's just be honest about it. So this Menace record, along with stuff like, let's see if you guys can get a good look at this. Menace. You can tell what section I've been weeding out. Menace, medium, Wink Martindale, Manila Road, Mama's Boys, Malice, all stuff that I would play on the radio. Lucifer's Friend, more Lucifer's Friend, totally weird stuff like Fred Lane. This is like genuinely weird. Let's see, what else we got? Jackie Lomax, George Harrison's protege on Apple Records. Hits of the Mersey era, a lot of Beatles contemporaries. Cilla Black was a friend of the Beatles. I would make all these really cool, fun sets on the radio based on these records. And at the end of the day, I just ain't going to listen to them at home. So they are all getting listed on my Discogs store. I've been beefing up the Discogs store big time the past couple of weeks, divesting myself of all these really great records that I used to play on the radio that I'm just not going to listen to while I sit around at home. Kind of, Reuben Wright's got that Wink Martindale. What do you think of that version of Deck of Cards on there, huh? That's hot stuff. Or how about The Funeral? The Funeral? Ooh, that's a real tearjerker. The Funeral is a song that you probably could not get away with these days, but Wink Martindale got away with it. Oh, Wink. What a stink. And the other thing being that, in my typical fashion, I recorded every single radio show I ever did. So I got boxes of CDs of all my radio shows. So if I were in a mood to hear some Cilla Black, I could just find the show that's got my Mersey band's tribute set and just play it. And here's Cilla Black and The Foremost and Jerry and the Pacemakers and so on and so forth. So the vinyl has got to go. And if you want some of it, check out my Discogs. All right. I think that's probably enough preamble. What do you say we get down to talking tunes, shall we? I'll drink to that. Woohoo! So, several weeks ago, you may remember if you're an avid watcher of Tent Talks Tunes, and if you're not, you can find the episode on my YouTube channel. My good pal Adam Zisser from Atlanta, Georgia, sent me a great big box of LPs. And it was all the kind of stuff that you would find at your average yard sale. And I opened up the box cold, and we had a lot of fun looking at these many, many yard sale albums, looking at the nuggets, checking out the gems, pinching our noses at the junk. It was like a real healthy mix of all of the above types of music. And something similar had happened a little while ago. My main dog, Dennis Hyland, from Mobile, Alabama, which is Mobile, Alabama. And Dennis is the head of Jackhammer Music, a great Japanese label dedicated to hard metal rock and punk rock. It's Anti-Scene's Japanese label. He sent me a big old box of 45 RPM singles that were apparently left over from a thrift shop. So Adam from Atlanta sent me a yard sale in a box. Dennis sent me a thrift shop in a box. And this isn't even like a third of what he sent me. I went through the stuff immediately when he mailed it to me because of my aforementioned storage crisis. I can't have stacks of stuff just sitting around. I got to go through it real fast and winnow out what's good and what isn't. So a pretty good chunk of it immediately went to the next thrift store because I donate a lot of stuff to thrift stores. So a big piece of it went to the thrift shop, and then another big piece of it went into my listen to pile, and some of them went directly into the keeper pile. And it's a lot of fun going through these, and we're going to do some show and tell of some real wild, wicky-wacky, wonderful, woolly 45s of all sorts, direct from a Mobile, Alabama thrift shop. And the first one off the top, I posted about this one a few days ago. And this is kind of funny because Jeff Clayton, lead singer of Anti-Scene, he's got his own Facebook live show called Break On Through. And he's on every Tuesday from 5 to approximately 6 p.m. He does kind of what I do. He talks about just stuff he likes, music, art, culture, movies, whatever. And a couple of weeks ago, he had a request from somebody to do his 10 least favorite songs, 10 songs that he absolutely hates. And in the great irony of everything, he mentioned a song that he totally hates that just happened to be in that box of records that Dennis Hyland sent me. And I didn't even uncover it until just a few days ago. And wouldn't you know it, it's the one I posted about. You can see it right there. You can read that text and weep, I hope. I hope it's clear enough to read. Key Largo. Key Largo by Bertie Higgins. And I posted about that, and definitely touched a nerve. People reacted very strongly to this song. The reason I posted was not just because I hate the song, and I really do hate it. I honestly loathe this song. I think people of a certain generation, my generation, will remember that when this song was getting lots of airplay. This song does not rock. It does not roll. It just kind of sits there like a washed up jellyfish. It's terrible. Terrible. But the B-side was a song I never heard before called White Line Fever by Bertie Higgins. And one thing that I always do whenever I get records like this, I always play the B-side. Like, you know, we already know the A-side. I hate it. There's no way I would ever buy a Bertie Higgins record or anything. But since this single came to me and didn't cost me anything, and it had a song I'd never heard of on the B-side, and it was called White Line Fever especially, which is kind of intriguing, I play it. I play the B-sides all the time because you never know what you might find. Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? The B-side to one of the most loathsome major label pap products ever foisted on a mediocrity-loving public, the B-side's really good. It genuinely qualifies as badass. It's nothing like Key Largo. It's a really salty, sordid tale of the cocaine trade. Probably from Key Largo. It's good. The guy can actually belt and growl a little bit. It's not all just simpering and whimpering. It rocks. So what do you know? What do you know? You can always learn something. So now, God help me, Lord forbid, but I am actually on the lookout now for the Bertie Higgins album that has this song on it, because I want to hear the rest of the album. If it's got even just a couple of songs that rock as hard as White Line Fever, I'll be satisfied. I'll have gotten my dollar's worth, because I ain't going to pay more than $1 for it. No. Malcolm Tent will not pay more than $1 for a Bertie Higgins record. No, 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 no. The thrill of discovery ain't that expensive. It's a cheap thrill. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Thrilling, but cheap. So yeah, here's looking at you, kid. I'm looking for that Bertie Higgins record, and if it's out there for $1 somewhere, I'm going to buy it. And then I will report back to you on a future episode of Tent Talks Tunes. Promise. Now here's another one from that box from Dennis Hyland. I saw this and I thought it must be a joke. It had to be a gag of some sort. Let's see if you guys can make this out. This is a song called, I couldn't tell if it was called Ole Tigay or what. And it's on the label called World Compassion Recordings. Like, what the hell? World Compassion Recordings? With that heart logo? I hope you guys can see that. I mean, that's some pretty wacky stuff. And Ole Tigay, and then Where the Roses Never Fade, and, on the back is Mama Sang a Song and Pass Me Not. It's really weird. Like, the graphic style is definitely not your usual graphic style. Any label called World Compassion, you gotta wonder what's up with that. And so I listened to it, of course, and it turns out that the song it's not called Ole Tigay, it's called Old Tig. Old Tig, and it's one of those songs that I don't think they even make anymore, and I'm glad they don't. It's like a narrative song. It's a storytelling song. This guy, the protagonist of the song, gets called off to go fight in a foreign war, and his old dog, Old Tig, sees him off. And he gets off the train when his tour of duty is over and he's back home, and Old Tig comes to greet him and send him home. But he gets home and discovers that Old Tig died years ago. Oh, the ghost of Old Tig. And it's sappy and it's corny and it's just so bad. So bad. Bad in the way that I, of course, love. Bad in the way that I love. So that was a pretty good one. World Compassion Records, Old Tig. Yes. Very bad in the right way. Not like Adele. That's bad in the shit way. This is bad in the good way. Let's see. Someone's sending me a message, so I gotta minimize them for a second. From my pal Anne-Marie. I'll talk to you in a minute, Anne-Marie. Now here's one that's kind of interesting. I haven't played this one yet. It's Bruce and Terry. Bruce and Terry, I forget who Bruce is. Might even be Bruce Johnson of the Beach Boys, but it's Terry Melcher. And Terry Melcher is the guy, he was Doris Day's son. He produced a lot of really critical records in the 60s for Columbia. And of course, he was the guy who lived at Cielo Drive, where the Manson killings took place. So there's all this really weird shiz going down with Bruce and Terry, or at least with Terry. And I'm just really curious about this. Raining in My Heart is the A, and Four Strong Winds is the B. And I'm wondering if Four Strong Winds is the same song that Bob Dylan and the band covered in the Basement Tapes. I don't know. It's just weird enough, just interesting enough, and has just enough of a story to pique my curiosity. So this is going to be listened to pretty soon. And I have to minimize the message again, just because. Let's see, what else? All right, this is one that I saw the name of this, and I just knew that I had to at least give it a shot. The A-side is called The Naughty Fly. And the B-side is called Tie Up Me Dress. And it's by the Lord of Iron. Who's not going to love a record by a guy named the Lord of Iron? And looking closely at it, there you go, it's a calypso. Okay, which means it's probably going to be mildly racy, really fast-paced, and probably really hard to understand, too. But I love calypsos. Calypsos are really, generally, really funny and also very biting social commentaries sometimes. So I'm going to guess that the Naughty Fly and Tie Up Me Dress is going to fall into the raunchy category. But it's going to be done. It's not going to be dirty or obscene. It's just going to be racy and a lot of fun and probably very, very clever. So the Lord of Iron, the Naughty Fly, directly from a thrift shop in Mobile, Alabama. I ain't heard it yet, but I will soon. Now here's one. This one looks, I haven't heard this one yet either, but I have a suspicion it's going to be really good. Being a big old fan of the Beatles, one of my favorite Beatles albums is their first album, which in the U.S. was called Introducing the Beatles. And I did a pretty good long episode on Tent Talks Tunes featuring Introducing the Beatles. You can see it on my YouTube channel. There's a bunch of cover songs on that one, which is songs the Beatles did not write. And one of them is a song called Chains. It was originally done by a group called the Cookies. And well, here you go. The original 45 of Chains by the Cookies, which I've never heard. It's a great tune. The Beatles do a really, really good version of it. And I'm going to be very stoked to hear the original finally for the first time in my life. And the Beatles need to get a lot more credit than they ever have for being real musical archaeologists. Because this was a minor hit in the States, but they somehow found it. They somehow tracked it down and, put it on a record that sold millions and millions and millions over the years. And the original is still kind of obscure, but here it is. So I get to do an A-B. The Cookies versus the Beatles doing Chains. Real good group. It's a girl group, I know that much. Like in the vein of Motown, but not really Motown. A lot of stuff like that out there. What do we got next? I was immediately attracted to this next one because of the original Maroon King label, which bodes well. And I don't even remember what this was. Jack Cardwell doing Two Arms. Oh, here's the selling point right there. That's why I kept it. Jack Cardwell on King doing The Death of Hank Williams. Now, you guys know I love my cash-in records and my exploitation records and my tribute records. So here's a vintage one. Once again, I kind of bemoan the lack of focus on this, but you can pretty much get the idea. The Death of Hank Williams by Jack Cardwell. Probably be a real tearjerker, this one. Oh, yeah. Let me refresh this, because my monitor screen is frozen up, and you guys wanted to get a good close-up of my forehead anyway, didn't you? So I'm going to refresh this so I can see the comments as they come in. This is live, by the way. This is the beauty of live internet streaming. As I've said before, keeping the spirit of cable TV 100% alive here in the 21st century. Ooh, these both looked really good. I'm always attracted to the old vintage London label because my first thought is Rolling Stones. I immediately think of early Stones 45s when I see these old London labels. But then I also think of the Tornadoes. Now, maybe you guys know the Tornadoes. The Tornadoes were one of producer Joe Meek's many bands. Joe Meek was this... You got to look up Joe Meek to really, really understand the full depth, breadth, and scope of this guy's story. Long story short, independent British producer. He made records in his apartment, and he had tons of hit singles in the UK. And they all had this really unique, downright weird sound to them with all kinds of homemade special effects and completely fly-by-the-pants, jury-rigged sounds and production techniques. Nobody ever made records that sound like Joe Meek records except Joe Meek. And he only had one hit in the States ever, and that was by this group, the Tornadoes, and it was called Telstar. And Telstar, pretty common record, pretty easy to find. He had another pretty close to being a hit, a song called Have I Got the Right by the Honeycombs. And that's got the minute you hear it, you know it's a Joe Meek record. Just because of the sound of it. It's just so bizarre. And so in that box of thrift shop records, not one, but two, count them, two 45s by the Tornadoes that I'd never seen or heard before. This one here is the Locomotion, backed with Globetrottin'. And this one is Riding the Wind, backed with The Breeze and I. Kind of a concept 45, I guess you would call it. So pretty cool. They're both kind of raggedy and beat up, but I think they might clean up all right. I have to give these a good scrub with my homemade record cleaning solution. I think I'll probably get some listening enjoyment out of these really unique and wonderful productions by the rare and wonderful Joe Meek. It's the kind of stuff you find at a thrift shop in Mobile, Alabama, or if you're lucky, elsewhere. See, I'm one of those dudes, and I don't do this all the time, but if I've got enough time on my hands and I hit a thrift shop and I see one of those great big stacks of 45s, I'll look through every Verschlungen or bloody one of them, hoping to find the occasional gem. And it doesn't happen too often, but when it happens, it's a joyous occasion. A long swig of Danbury Tap to the joys, the rigors, the rock and roll effort required to dig through those huge stacks of dirty, old, nasty, musty, filthy 45s in search of musical gold. And don't even get me started on looking through 78s at thrift shops. Oh boy, that's a sweet sickness. All right, what else have we got here? Something similar. Ruben Wright says Joe Meek did everything and he was great at all of it. True fact. This one actually was not, these next couple were not in the box from Dennis, but they're kind of related. This is like all thrift shop stuff that I was triggered to look at by this box from Dennis. In the tribute record vein, we've got Billy Joe Burnett doing Welcome Home Elvis. One of somewhere around umpteen centrifugalian Elvis tribute cash-in records. There are so many of them. And the good news is some of them are really bad. So I haven't heard this one yet, but anytime it says Elvis whatever on the label, I always have high hopes and low expectations. And it's also on the Gusto Starday label. They were best known for their truck driving records. I love me some truck driving music. To me, that stuff is lowbrow in all the right ways. So I'm going to assume that good old Billy Joe Burnett is lowbrow in all the right ways. Now here's something. Oh, this is really cool. Well, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that? Can you hear the sound of the voice of Harry the cat? Hi, Guy. Harry was sound asleep up until this very moment. Gonna come on up and say hi to the people? What do people think? Harry is right there on the floor. He's mewling and meowing. Should I drag him up here and have him say hello? Amy Lynn Myers says yes. She says, yay, Harry. Oh, and he's purring up a storm. All right, little guy, come on up here and say hi to the people. Here you go. Come on up, fella. There he is, Harry the cat. Yay! Harry is such a scene stealer. Oh, my God. Ruben says yes to Harry the cat. Here he is, our 1.5-eared wonder. The guy with the 1.5 ears, 1.5 fangs. I don't know how many lives he's into now, but this little guy, he's a lover and a fighter. You see him right now in his lover capacity. Can you hear that? About the sound of that purr. He's a purr machine. Oh, yes. Look at those yellow eyes and that snaggle tooth of his. How about it? That's my boy. And he loves being rubbed under the chin. I have never met a cat who didn't love a good chin rub. Yeah, that's my guy. One of the good things, and there are many, many, many good things about living out here in a somewhat rural area, I've got a big old patch of catnip growing in the front yard. And it's all coming in now. The purple flowers are in, the leaves are in. And I grabbed a little tiny stalk of fresh catnip the other night, really late at night before I turned in, and I left it on the floor in front of his bed where he sleeps, just wondering if he would notice it. And sure enough, when I woke up the next morning, that was gone. He gobbled that thing up like a trick. So fresh catnip is in season, which means old Harry's going to be a big old stoner as long as that stuff is coming in. It's also really funny because the neighborhood cats will come around and go straight for the catnip patch, and they'll gobble that stuff right off the plant. They'll roll around in it. It's quite a spectacle. And I finally came to realize that's why Harry here was getting in so many fights, because the catnip patch is on his turf. And the other cats would come around, and he'd go down there and mix it up with them. And he was the alpha male defending his turf, so whenever the other cat would fight back, he'd get it right in the face. He wouldn't get it running away, he'd get it standing his ground defending his turf. And that's how he got the crumpled ear, and I'm pretty sure that's how he lost the fang, because he was battling over the catnip patch, and that's why I had to build the catio. So he's basically an indoor-outdoor cat, but his outdoors is essentially indoors, if you know what I'm saying. So here he is, my boy, hogging the scenes as usual. He's on my lap, and we're going to continue talking tunes. So yeah, here's another one. I actually found this one at a record show. And in the past I've talked about my love for novelty records, and one of my favorite novelty artists, Nervous Norvis. Nervous Norvis, transfusion, my whole body's a mess of contusions, never, never, never gonna speed again, pour the claret in me, Barrett. One of the best novelty songs ever written, along with Ape Call, Wild Dogs of Kentucky, Noon Balloon to Rangoon, and a few others. So I was really pleasantly surprised, and I talked about this one a little bit earlier. This is an actual German pressing. A German pressing of Ape Call by Nervous Norvis on the London label. It's got Ape Call on the A side, and what should be Wild Dogs of Kentucky on the B side. And I just marveled at the fact that a record that is this uniquely American, and which features this slang that this dude more or less made up, could find an audience in Germany. A language barrier, a cultural barrier couldn't get in the way of a Nervous Norvis record being released in Germany, and by the looks of this one, being played quite a bit. I think that's really, really cool. It's also just one of those exotic artifacts from a guy like Nervous Norvis, who you would never really think of having exotic artifacts, but here it is. Very, very cool. I, of course, will mention that I do have, on one of my several back burners, an actual Nervous Norvis release coming out on TPOS. In conjunction with my pal Mark Robinson at Ponk Media, we are working on a Nervous Norvis 7-inch EP featuring tracks that have never been put on vinyl before. For me, the little kid at the age of 7 or 8, hearing Nervous Norvis for the first time, getting it to release a record by this guy, that's pretty cool. I'll drink a toast of Danbury Tap to that. Let's see what other kind of weird stuff do we have here. Oh, here's a weird one. Everybody knows the name Dick Clark. Dick Clark was not known as being a recording artist, but lo and behold, he did make 145 RPM single, at least. And I saw the name Dick Clark, and I saw the title. This is the open letter to the older generation. Yes, open letter to the older generation, pardon my thumb. But I did listen to this one, and it is an open letter to the older generation, asking them to please have some understanding for the evil phenomenon of rock and roll. And of course, he had a very heavy-duty vested interest in that. And it's completely corny, totally sappy. It's Dick Clark. I put Dick Clark right in there with the major labels. I give him credit. Dick Clark did do some good stuff. I mean, his TV show in the 50s in Philadelphia was integrated pretty much from the get-go. And you didn't see anything like that on network TV at all. Segregation was very much alive and well on the network television shows. But American Bandstand, it was integrated from the very beginning. So, you got to respect the guy for doing that. And, he featured integrated artists on his show. There was no Jim Crow on American Bandstand, so I will definitely salute Dick Clark for that. As much as I despise the industry that he championed, he did do some good. What else do we got here? What is this? Oh, okay, now I haven't heard this one yet, but this one's got to be good. This one's got to be good. It's got to be good. Another one of those wonderful tribute records. And we looked at one to Hank Williams. We looked at one to Elvis. And you guys know my love for sleazy, cheesy Beatles cash-in and exploitation records. This one has got to be a winner. It's a tribute. Check it out, guys. A tribute to Ringo Starr by the other Ringo. Can you see that? Can you read that? Should I pull it back? I guess Larry Finnegan is the other Ringo, but it's Larry Finnegan, a tribute to Ringo by the other Ringo. How can you lose? We have not only one, but two Ringos. And here's a record by the other one. It's got to be good. It's going to be good. I'm going to love it. Cheap, cheesy, and exploitative to the max. M-A-X. Oh, man. Now here, you're talking about novelty records and how awesome they are. Okay, Nervous Norvis we were talking about a second ago. Another one of the all-time giants. A towering presence in the novelty record field. Napoleon the 14th. They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. Come on, you guys know that one. They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, by Napoleon the 14th. I'll say it to anybody who wants to listen. That is genuinely, no fooling, one of the... Oh, Harry's taking off. Bye, Harry. He's heard this rap before about Napoleon the 14th. He doesn't want to hear it anymore. I don't blame the guy. If I was a cat and I spoke English, I wouldn't want to hear it anymore. To him, it's just a bunch of... He doesn't speak English, but he's heard that series of vowels and consonants when I talk about Napoleon 14th so many times. So he's out of here. Bye, Harry. Love you, guy. Seriously, honestly, one of the first records I ever remember hearing played on the radio in whatever, 1969, 68 when it came out. I have such clear memories of hearing, I can picture it now, the radio that sat on the console in our living room in the first house that we lived in, tuned to WQAM. I believe it was 560 on the AM dial. They're coming to take me away, haha, coming out of the cloth grilled speaker. I remember it clearly. Now, I knew for a fact that Napoleon the 14th did that single, and he did an album to go with it, and that was pretty much the end of it. Imagine my surprise when it turns out that Napoleon the 14th, whose real name is Jerry Samuels actually cut some records later under his own name. And I found these randomly somewhere, I think while I was searching online, and his name popped up, and I just did a little bit of searching, and what do you know, he did at least two 45s, including this one right here. called Can You Dig It by Jerry Samuels. And it's published by XIV Music. Get it? XIV 14. Can You Dig It on the A side? And this is Planet Earth on the B side. And Can You Dig It is very much in the vein of They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. It's a percussion track with a really repetitive spoken word rap on top of it. A lot higher production values, but it's, you know, you can tell it's Napoleon 14th. And the B side is a, one of those popular topics in the 70s when this thing came out about aliens coming down to planet Earth, finding the place to be all polluted and gross, and flying away. Still a great tune. 1974, Jerry Samuels on a label called Silver Blue, which I've never heard of before, but they obviously had some money behind them. You know, they had their own custom sleeves and a logo. You know, you got to pay to have these things made. And they were distributed by Polydor. And that's it. It's the only thing I've ever seen on this label, and it just happened to be by Napoleon the 14th under his real name 5 or 6 years after he had his last hit. Very odd. I'd love to know the story behind this label and behind Jerry Samuels cutting not only that one, but cutting this one on a really obscure, practically non-existent label called JEP Records. Jerry Samuels, a.k.a. Napoleon the 14th. Who are you to tell me not to smoke marijuana? A valid question. I'm a straight edge guy, but that's a valid question. Who are you to tell me not to smoke marijuana? He asked it. It's on the record. And the B-side, proving that we have a theme record, I Owe a Lot to Iowa Pot. And check it out, kids. Autographed by Jerry Samuels himself. This, to me, is better than a... I don't know, pick what's your rare record fantasy? You know, this to me is 24 karat gold. Jerry Samuels, under his own name, autographed on a super obscure label that no one's ever heard of. This thing doesn't even have a date on it. It's got a New York City address, but I wonder why he name checks Iowa Pot specifically. Fantastic. Novelty records are the best. And Jerry Samuels was one of the best, along with Nervous Norvis. Woo, I love these things, kids. I love them. Let's see, I think I've been here for about an hour already, so I think I'm going to pretty much just ignore the rest of these, because I could go on all day about these things. All day, and there are just so many of them. There might have to be a part 2 of Thrift Shop in a Box. I'm just going to wrap up by doing another show and tell. One item that I found in a random box of stuff at a record show recently. Cream magazine, 1976. This is right before I started reading Cream magazine, but it's still Cream. Still the best magazine that was ever published in its heyday in the 70s. I mean, it's such a period piece. There's the front. What's on the back? Kiss, of course. You know, and this also has the ad that I posted a little bit recently, which is such a time capsule. And this again illustrates why I loved Cream so much. All right, you got the real obvious stuff. Kiss, Rod, Sex. But you also had Flo and Eddie. Excuse me, folks. You also had really awesome, underrated 70s hard rock like Stars. These guys kicked butt, man. Stars were great. They got a full-page ad in Cream. And, where is it? Oh, yes. Just the very first inklings on this multi-artist advertisement for music for the next 200 years, just this very little tiny inkling of things to come. An ad for the Ramones' first album. Pretty much right when it came out. That's why I love these things. This is real history. This is a real time capsule. This is a real snapshot of what the music biz was like at this very moment in time. You can't revise this. Revisionism does not apply because this is the genuine artifact. Kiss, Rod, and some very interesting stuff bubbling under. And Cream pretty much gave attention to all of it. And they really helped shape my worldview when it came to music and appreciation for stuff that I had never heard before. So big salute to Cream magazine of the 1970s. Yay! I'll drink a toast to them too. Yay! All right, gang, I think I've yapped enough. And I want to thank you guys for, as always, tuning in and let me do my thing to you, with you, and for you. If all goes well, I do intend to be back in about 167 hours' time. In the meanwhile, feel free to check out my Discogs store for more hot new editions and more great stuff on my label, TPOS. And I also hope you spend your time enjoying good music, art, fashion, culture, maybe some beautiful springtime weather wherever you are. It's great for hiking, biking, walking, and talking. I'm going to be out there. So until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.